and welcome to Read Aloud 3, where we are reading in the book of 2 Samuel, and we are making our way through and are on chapter 7 today. So, I after all have been fairly consistent, other than not videoing on a day that was a bit life-altering for me when I found out I needed to make a move after another 10-year period of being in the same home. So that happened to me the last time I moved as well. So it was just very, it was distracting to say the least. But even though chapter 5 got posted a little bit delayed because it just didn't end up posting through YouTube for some reason. So hopefully you guys are caught up, okay? So I started at the beginning of the week, I think with chapter 5, and here we are on Friday. So chapter 5, 6 on Monday, 7 should have been Tuesday, but it was Wednesday. Wait a minute. Am I on 8 or 9? Oh, huh. I guess I'll realize when I start reading. But I thought I'd been pretty consistent. So 7 was Wednesday. I didn't think that I missed videoing yesterday, but I sure don't remember that I read 8. So let's go to chapter 8. I do remember reading the heading for chapter 7, which is the Lord's covenant promise to David. That was a really great chapter. So go back and listen. But I can't say that I remember the heading David's military victories, which is what it is in chapter 8 of this New Living Translation that I've kind of picked up and started reading in for the last few chapters. So let's see if it sounds familiar. I'm going to do that. And if not, and if it does, I'll skip ahead because that means I already recorded chapter 8. After this, David defeated and subdued the Philistines by conquering Gath, their largest town. David also conquered the land of Moab. He made the people lie down on the ground in a row, and he measured them off in groups with a length of rope. He measured off 2 groups to be executed for every 1 group to be spared. This definitely is not sounding familiar. Okay, so let's keep going. Here's how he conquered. He made the people lie down on the ground in a row, and he measured them off in groups of a length of rope. He measured off 2 groups to be executed for every 1 group to be spared. Wow. That's pretty harsh. The Moabites who were spared became David's subjects and paid him tribute money. David also destroyed the forces of Hadadezer, son of Rehob, king of Zobah. When Hadadezer marched out to strengthen his control along the Euphrates River, David captured 1,700 charioteers and 20,000 foot soldiers. He crippled all the chariot horses except enough for 100 chariots. Gee, this guy. Quite militarily, what's the word? Just mighty. So then it says, when Arameans from Damascus arrived to help King Hadadezer, David killed 22,000 of them. Then he placed several army garrisons in Damascus, the Aramean capital, and the Arameans became David's subjects and paid him tribute money. So the Lord made David victorious wherever he went. So this is the Lord's doing. Or he brought David success in whatever he was doing militarily. I keep making up words. David brought the gold shields of Hadadezer's officers to Jerusalem, along with a large amount of bronze from Hadadezer's towns of Tebah and Berothai. And I will say this is the Lord's doing simply because on my other channel, one of my videos was about the plans that we make, but it's the Lord's will that comes to pass. So I really, I don't mean to be alluding to maybe or insinuating that, well, God was on David's side, so he just made whatever he chose to do successful. I think that a big part of being successful, especially if you're conquering land and peoples because of God's intentions, then I think, you have to definitely be following his commands, like, either hearing from him directly or hearing from him in these days through the prophet to know. And I think we've seen that many times with David, that he says, shall I go up and do this? Is this going to be successful for me? Basically asking, is this your will? Okay. When King Toi of Hamath heard that David had destroyed the entire army of Hadadezer, he sent his son Joram to congratulate King David for his successful campaign. Hadadezer and Toi had been enemies and were often at war. Joram presented David with many gifts of silver, gold, and bronze. King David, well, that's interesting, they were enemies, but now Hadadezer is saying, congrats, you win. You're the stronger man. Well, let's see what this is all about. Did I say that right? Was it Hadadezer? Oh, I thought it was Hadadezer and David had been enemies. Sorry. Hadadezer and Toi, T-O-I, had been enemies and were often at war. Joram presented David with many gifts. So Joram is related to Hadadezer, I believe. I'm so sorry, I just ate. Okay, sorry guys. Trying to see where Joram came in here. He sent his son Joram, Hadadezer. Okay. Wait a minute. When King Toi of Hamath heard that David had destroyed the entire army of Hadadezer, he sent his son Joram to congratulate King David. So that is Toi's son, Joram, and he is congratulating King David on defeating Hadadezer, because Toi and Hadadezer have been enemies. Okay, I got that straight finally. And he brought him all these gifts. King David dedicated all these gifts to the Lord, and he did with the silver and gold from the other nations he had defeated. Oh, as he did. Okay, from Edom, Moab, Ammon, Philistia, and Amalek, and from Hadadezer, son of Rehob, king of Zobah. So David became very famous after his return. He destroyed 18,000 Edomites in the Valley of Salt. He placed many garrisons throughout Edom, and all the Edomites became David's subjects. In fact, the Lord made David victorious wherever he went. So David reigned over all Israel and did what was just and right for all his people. Joab, son of Zeruiah, was commander of the army. Jehoshaphat, son of Ahilud, was the royal historian. Zadok, son of Ahitub, and Ahimelech, son of Abiathar, were the priests. Seraiah was the court secretary. Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, was captain of the king's bodyguard, and David's sons served as priestly leaders. Okay, interesting. And there's a reference at the very end that says much of the same, or at least this part of that recording of the, who's who, is also in 1 Chronicles 18:14-17. Okay, so that is the end of our chapter 8, which I'm glad that I realized and didn't skip a chapter, or yeah. What was I saying? I thought we were on chapter 8. That's true, because I did not remember reading chapter 8. But as I counted the days, thinking I faithfully read through the Bible this week, except one day, I found that it was except 2, which were Tuesday and Thursday, it turns out, I believe. So, happy weekend. Sometimes we miss a day, but I hope that you're following and maybe reading along with me. But if you are not missing days, that is even better. And this can be a reread through for you too. So I really appreciate just being able to get on here and read and talk about, the part of the Bible that we're reading as close to daily as I can. And as I continue to try to progress in doing it daily. Okay, so thank you guys for joining me, and happy Friday night. I hope that you will have a blessed weekend, but I will see you tomorrow.